We've all heard the phrase, the Great Resignation. Well, the data continues to support the theory. According to the Labor Department, a record-shattering 47.4 million people voluntarily left their jobs last year. That's compared to 42.1 million in 2019, which was considered to be the tightest labor market at the time. But it's not just jobs. People are quitting all types of things: friendships, marriages, junk food, and drinking. New podcast, Quitters, explores this phenomenon and works to destigmatize quitting. Take a listen to a snippet of the latest episode with actor Sam Richardson, who quit his poor eating habits and lost 40 pounds.
I was eating 2-3 steaks in a sitting.
What?
And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. My body is holding up just fine. A little bit of padding over that, but still fine.
But you obviously made a decision to get off this train. What inspired you?
Just watching as my clothes just didn't fit. Like, even clothes that were the exception.
The co-host of the Quitters podcast, Chad Sanders. Chad, you and your co-host, Julie Bowen, who folks know from Modern Family, of course, and many other things, you've both said, we are all just humans trying to do our best. I love that so much. I feel like that is my mantra, too. I just didn't word it so beautifully. I mean, why is there stigma around quitting anyway?
Yeah, I think we have this sort of stick-to-itiveness industrial complex here, especially in the United States, where if you put something down, if you leave something behind, if you don't see something all the way through, you're given this the scarlet F as a failure. And I think it hurts people. It makes people dread the idea of the abyss in front of you when you give something up, whether it's smoking, a job, a relationship, a friendship, whatever. We don't know what's going to fill in that blank. And that scares us.
I mean, I think quitting things that don't serve you or don't allow you to be happy, those are things you should quit. Why do people not understand that? I mean, why do you think we should shift our thinking around quitting to make it actually a good thing, particularly when that thing we're quitting is hurting us?
It's confusing. I think sometimes it's hard to know if the thing that you need to leave behind is actually helping or hurting. But I do think that when people are honest with themselves, when they get quiet with themselves, they can tell. I started off my career working at Google, which was by all accounts sort of the greatest place in the world to work. But something just didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel good there. It didn't feel like I was growing as a person, as an employee, et cetera, et cetera. And, 10 years later now, I think we all have a more refined lens on how we look at companies like Google, Amazon, Netflix, Twitter. And I'm glad I got up out of there, but it was really just, it was just intuition. It was just a feeling. And I think most people, when they're being real with themselves, they can feel and they can see what's going on around them.
I mean, there's been so much talk about people quitting their jobs during this pandemic, but also people are quitting marriages, relationships, everything. Why do you think people are quitting basically everything?
I think people had to sit down for almost 2 years, some more than that, with themselves, with their thoughts, with their spouses, with their jobs, with their everything. And people really took inventory of what felt right and what felt wrong, like what had to go. There were no more ways to divert attention and avoid the things that were in our lives that didn't need to be there anymore. And I think people are responsible when they realize, when they can't stop facing the fact that something's hurting them. They do, I think, take care of that thing. But sometimes you just need the time and space to do it. A lot of times it's the thing that you need to quit that's stopping you from having that time and space to take inventory.
Oh, so true. I love what you guys are doing because you're Black and Julie is white. And we just ended our radio show, but my co-host of Signal Boost and SiriusXM, Jess McIntosh, also white. And you can have honest and robust conversations that speak across differences in a way that I just don't see other places. So I'm so grateful to you both for this. And you brought bells for yourselves to actually ring, to hold each other accountable. I mean, why do you use bells during interviews? And when was the time where you rang your bell?
I ring the bell on Julie pretty frequently. I, as you mentioned, am Black. Julie is really, really white. And at some level, it's just unavoidable.
Wait. What's really, really white? What does that mean?
I mean, Julie is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, woman who grew up quite wealthy, who is now quite wealthy, who's won 2 Emmys, who was on Modern Family, who lives in, not too far from Hollywood. She is in some ways just a hat on a hat of privilege. And I think she's, she's self-reflecting in that way. Like, she understands who she is and what she represents to some, and she's curious and she wants to learn. And for me, I didn't want to, I think it's easy now for us to try to hide from each other because we're so sort of stuck in our poles of whatever we believe and whatever we think. But I think it's impractical. And honestly, I don't want to live a life of hiding from white people, my whole career and my whole adult life. And so Julie and I connected a few months ago, and we had this idea. I brought this idea to her to do this podcast, and she was all over it. Not just because she wanted to talk about some of the things she'd quit, like an eating disorder, like a marriage, but she also wanted to get a better perspective, get a better understanding of what it's like to live in this country in a skin other than her own. And so did I. And so we do use the bells. We ring the bells when someone feels hurt or microaggressed or angry or whatever by something that the other one has done or said. And we try to address it right there and then in the moment so that it doesn't fester. It also just happens to, I think, create good content for the listener. We break down whatever the thing is. Like the term "the grandfather clause" came up or somebody said they were grandfathering in something on one of the episodes, and Julie actually rang the bell on them to jump in front of it and say, "Oh, I don't think we're allowed to make this reference anymore." And then I rang the bell on Julie because I said, "Julie, you're bringing race into a conversation that I didn't even feel offended by," and so. It does create some interesting conversations for us.
I love that so much. I mean, I think it's so important for all of us, to have these honest conversations, even if it makes us a little bit uncomfortable. The reason why problems are still happening is because people are too comfortable, to your point, and they don't question why. Chad Sanders, it's great to talk to you. I'd love to have you back anytime. You're fun to talk to. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.